Hello everyone, it's Brian, and welcome back to Twilight Struggle Play the Experts, the game where I play the experts so that you can learn all their secrets. Now today for our fourth game, we have a very, very exciting opponent. Although it appears he might be Russian by his name, he's actually Chinese. This opponent is also known as Sankt, and he is eponymous with one of the major strategies in current Twilight Struggle, the so-called Sankt strategy or Chinese strategy. And there's subtleties to the strategy, but I would say the two most key elements are, one, kind of emphasizing immediate victory points over long-term investment in ops and position. And secondly, there's a noticeable interest in the space track among Sankt players. They tend to aggressively space, enemy cards. They do it, I guess I've heard the motto being that space is the seventh continent, that getting those points before the other player gets them and getting the advantages that come with being ahead on the space track. The Sankt players tend to think that that is special and worth pursuing a little more than maybe had been traditional before they came along. So he certainly got himself the highest rating of any player we've played so far, a nearly incomprehensibly high rating. And so let's get in there and just, see what we can do kicking this baby around. Let us see. So we're going to be playing the Americans again. It just came out that way. Gonna have to make sure I get me a Soviet play again in Game 5. Okay, so we're looking at our opening hand. We have got some seriously big ops. Look at all those 4 cards. We've got 3 cards. Some of his events, obviously de-Stalinization, we will try to hold. Unless he blockades us, we will hold it as long as we can, till turn 3. Suez Crisis, that's unfortunate. We'll just have to deal with it. It's kind of a, we'll lose some dudes. Arab-Israeli wars, hopefully we'll get into Lebanon, maybe Jordan before it goes off, decreasing our chances of losing stuff. And Warsaw Pact will happily play for 3 ops and just let him put extra guys in Europe. Now, NATO is going to be ops. East European unrest, probably ops. Now, Asia scoring, is not a great card for the U.S. to start with, other than the fact that it will probably let us blow it out for a low loss of score. Now, obviously, if he fails his Iran coup, then we can go on into Afghanistan and things might start looking up for it, because we certainly have the ops to play a game in Asia for a while, but that would depend on him to roll really bad in his first roll on an Iran coup. So we'll see how that goes. I would almost just go ahead and headline that to blow it out, except for the fact that one of the most common, because it's one of the best Soviet headlines, is Vietnam revolts. If he headlined that, then we would instantly be dominated without him even having to do any work. So that's what makes that not a great headline, since we're not holding that card. I mean, he could also headline decolonization, which is not a normal turn 1 headline, but it could happen. So I don't want to headline that, and that brings us to the one remaining card I have is Nuclear Test Ban, which is a 4 ops, but it would also I could just cash it in now for 3 points. And given that I just don't have any other very exciting headline, there's nothing the only other thing that even does anything is East European unrest, and it does largely nothing, just ticks away at his thing. I would rather trade 4 ops for 3 points than 3 ops for kind of a little in Europe. So maybe not my first choice headline, but it certainly leans into the let's get victory points now idea. And so I think that's what it's going to be. I think that's going to be our headline here. All right, so he has indeed headlined Vietnam Revolt. Well, it's a good thing we didn't headline Asia. So he's going to get in there, and let's see what he's going to do. Oh, influence. Okay, he is not going for the coup in Iran. He is... Wow, did he read our hand or what? Man, he is going full Thailand on us. Look at that. He just pounded in 4 points into Southeast Asia. And wow, that really just starts us off on a hard footing. And the thing is, I mean, yes, DEFCON 5, I could coup Thailand, but even with a 4 card, what are my chances of taking it over so firmly that he can't just... Because he's got +1 on all his cards. And if he played the China card there, it would be worth 6. I mean, I just don't think I can coup Thailand and have any real hope there. I think he's just going big Asia now. So I got to think of some other plan, because unfortunately I got this Asia card. I would have, if he had done that, I would have assumed he had it, but I have it, so he doesn't have it. He's just doing that. And that's a poser. So I guess I want to do some stuff. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and at least I get to expand out of Iran, hoping for other things. And I'm going to have to go ahead and take a risk here, and I'm going to put 2 guys in South Korea, because that is my best hope of avoiding getting crushingly dominated in Asia here. Because if I go into Pakistan, he can coup me. He can coup me big time. Now, Korea, less likely to coup me, but there's the Korean War card. Now, the straight-out chances of him having the Korean War card are about 1 in 4 at this point. Obviously, maybe it's a little higher than that because he's playing hard in Asia, but hey, playing hard in Asia is not a bad thing for him, even if he didn't have the Korean War card. But maybe, that's part of his calculation, is he's sucking me into a Korean War. But I really have to get it now. If I don't grab that now, then he's going to be able to grab it next, and then I'll never see it again. So my only chance to hold South Korea is to go ahead and go in it right this second and just take the chance, because even if he does have it, it's a 50-50 chance. So I think that is what we're gonna do. I don't like it, but it's he has grabbed the initiative, and he's making us do some scary things. Oh, and it's a Korean War! It's a Korean War! Here it comes! Oh, he got the Korean War, and he took it. All right, well, that's too bad. So, let's see. Let's take stock here. We're getting dominated in Asia. We can get done anytime. Stuff that's timing related. I think I'm going to go ahead and space something to try to grab those points before he can. All right, that's good. We got in. Oh, here comes the China card. So he's still interesting not being played in Asia, but I guess he didn't need to. Okay, so he's filling up some things in the Middle East, certainly preventing us from dominating. Now, he's gone into Lebanon, and I have a general policy. This is just my policy, that if somebody goes into Lebanon and it's before DEFCON reaches 2, then I try to punish them for that with a big coup. And so I think I'm going to go ahead and, because it's not like my presence in the Middle East is assured, I'm going to go ahead and just take a coup. Well, all right, well, we wasted our 6 on that. That will, I guess we'll own Lebanon for a very, very long time. And I guess with that, he blows out Middle East scoring. That's good. I mean, perhaps he would have, without that result, tried to fill up Saudi Arabia or something to dominate us, but I think he's just blowing it out. And that makes me think that as we get on down the turn, maybe I should blow out the Asia card. It's not going to get any better. Maybe leave myself some options later. So let's just go ahead and eat the 6 points. Oh, and there's the U.S.-Japan card now that Asia's gone. And for a coup in, oh dear. Okay, well, we can chalk up the first big mistake by Brian in this game, which is it was DEF CON 5. And so by playing the Asia card, I freed up his big Japan card that didn't want to give me, he didn't want to give me that point and that chance to avoid domination. So, yeah, boy, I made his life a lot simpler. And then he just took a big blasting coup in Italy, and he rolled pretty well. So he did not waste his good roll in Lebanon. So that is we're going to pay a heavy, heavy price for that. And so, that is an example of, I think the theme I would describe that to is the DEF CON 5 theme. When you play at DEF CON 5, you really got to be watching all the parts of the board. They're definitely off familiar territory there. I mean, I play some games where things go DEF CON 5, but honestly, I'm usually playing those as the Soviets. And so this time the shoe was on the other foot, and I got caught. So clearly, looking back on that prior move, I should have taken some kind of a coup. See, it wasn't very attractive because I had these big 3 cards, but nowhere to coup, which definitely worked in his nowhere to coup in a battleground. I mean, I would be happy to obliterate Laos, Cambodia, but nothing that seemed really tempting, like cooing into Thailand against the Vietnam revolt bonus continuing is, just not attractive, and using a 3 card to coup Iraq didn't seem all that exciting. Turned out we'd roll a 6, and that would have been something, but still. So, but I should have done that. That would have saved some, tears. That would have saved some tears later. But, all right, so big grunty mistake in turn 1, and we're just going to have to live with it. So, I think that we need to go ahead and start driving this DEF CON down. I'm going to go ahead and take the coup I should have taken last time. Didn't quite get me in there. Gets rid of this card. And now DEF CON is 3, kind of more like I would want to have it. All right, he's ending with the blockade. We've got plenty of stuff to throw. It's too bad we have to throw destalinization away, but we planned for that. And finally, Warsaw Pact, perfectly acceptable card for us to play for ops. And I'm going to break Asia control just to give him, that's the best I could come up with for a last action round play here. And then I'm going to put a threat onto Malaysia so that, again, he'll have to either grab Thailand or something. So that, I think that's a good plan. Sitting next to Thailand is going to be DEF CON 4. That's what we're going to do. All right, so he takes his extra dubers, gets them in there, and the turn ends, and we go to turn 2. All right, so what do we have here? We got a medium-ish ops hand. No fours. We've got the Romanian 1. And we've got a lot of 3s, and they're all pretty reasonable 3s. And now that one of the silver linings of the fact that we lost destabilization of the blockade is, well, there's no card in our hand right now that we have to hold, making it more likely he's got decolonization, of course, but we don't have to hold a card, so here we are sitting with the UN intervention card, which we will be able to simply use on the de Gaulle card, and so that's fine. It's a usable UN intervention. No problems. So it's not bad. Now let's look at headline possibilities. Duck and cover, if it was currently DEFCON 3, I would like duck and cover a lot as a headline because it'd give me 3 points and it would take away his coup. Now at DEFCON 4, it would give me 2 points and take away my coup effectively because he would then coup at DEFCON 3. So not a very good headline at DEFCON 4. 5-year plan is the random spin of the wheel and try to knock something out of his hand, but that's one of our better op cards. There's no particular guarantee, and it's not like the situation we encountered in the last game where we knew there was some serious damage we could do by hitting the right card. So it's not the time for that. Defectors, pretty reasonable time for defectors. I mean, honestly, the best time for defectors in the early war is pretty much turn 1, because that's when, from his point of view, you only have about a 1 in 4 chance of even having defectors in your hand, so he's the least worried about defectors, and so you're the most likely to get a thing. Now, in turn 2, he kind of, from his perspective, it's about a 50-50 that I'm holding defectors, so he's thinking he's a little more worried about defectors, so he might not completely headline something really awesome like Red Scare Purge just to drop into our defectors there. But he'll probably headline something interestingly decent. He's probably not going to try to, slough off a bad card. So yeah, that's a pretty good headline. The only other quasi-interesting headline is NORAD. And NORAD, I mean, giving up a 3-opper, and then you have to put 2 more ops in Canada, and then you have to wait, for the opportunity to come around, and then you have to hope that Quagmire doesn't come up. That's a lot of uncertainty at a time when, we haven't seen Marshall Plan, we haven't had a special relationship. Special relationship might not even give us guys because you only don't have 5 guys in the UK. So that's, just doesn't seem like a wise investment right now when we've got a better headline in defectors. Now, I would headline NORAD if I didn't have defectors this turn. If everything else was as it was, I would certainly headline it over 5-year plan, duck and cover, and foremost resolution in this situation. Now, if it was DEFCON 3, my first choice would be duck and cover. Okay, so let's do a defector and see. Let's go hunting. Let's go Soviet hunting. Well, we found a Cambridge 5. Those were, interesting. They defected the other way, right? So this is a whole defect. We redefected the defectors. We didn't have a scoring card anyway, so it was a big nothing. So yeah, he kind of played a card that could be interesting for him, but not. He clearly didn't risk his seed corn in round 2 with not knowing where defectors is, so that's good. Oh, and yeah, here's the Red Scare Purge card, which he clearly didn't headline. So yeah, he was thinking about that 50-50 chance. So that's your dynamic on defectors in turn 2 as the US came out about how it should come out among really good players. So he is filling up Thailand, fixing South Korea, and putting a little prod into France. Not that he doesn't already have a pretty big advantage in Europe. But those are threats. Now, the nice thing about it being DEFCON 4 is that we can actually counter coup in Thailand, and he no longer has the big grunty advantage. Vietnam Revolt's advantage. So he doesn't get +1 anymore. Now, I could go with one of my 3 cards But I feel like this is a good chance. I could completely right the ship on Asia, because Asia's going to be back sometime next turn or later. And a successful coup in Thailand would completely right the Asia ship for me, because I'm on the road to doing well. And I'm touching Pakistan and Indian stuff. So I think I'm just gonna take the opportunity, because the China card coups at 5, and we are just gonna pound it in here and try to get in control of Thailand. All right, look at that. We rolled a good roll. We used a big card, rolled a big roll, and we are in good shape in Thailand. So that, that's nice. That is, I'd rather have had that before the Asia card happened, but we'll take it. So now he's going to get his coup. Looks like a little coup, a Fidel coup, and he is go to Panama. He obviously is happy pre-turn 3 to just eject Fidel without getting stuck in there, because that lets him possibly hold the CIA card if he needs to, and Fidel will come back and I'll have to worry about it, etc., etc. So as Soviets pre-turn 3, playing Fidel for opt is a totally, solid move. It might even be the slightly favored move in more situations. So, where can we make progress? All right, so I'm going to pull up a 3-op here, because I want to go to several different places, make progress on several fronts at once. Defensively-ish, I want to go to Indonesia because he touches that now. And so that's one less place for him to decolonize, one better for our country count, because I do feel like I need to become the dominant power in Asia to counter what's about to happen in Europe. And then I need to make a threat in the Middle East. I need to be touching a battleground. So I need to get down there to Egypt, so he has to make some decisions about Nasser. The Arab-Israeli war already shuffled through, and Israel keeps him from just grabbing it with a 4-op all of a sudden, so it makes him have to inform me of his plan to go to Israel. And finally, I want to get a point into France. In this case, less about owning France and about getting next to Algeria. So that's my plan. And he does have decolonization, and it goes off now at DEFCON 2. So yeah, it's a big solid decolonization of Africa. That's a very, very good use. He went ahead and put it into Algeria, even though he's already touching Algeria, I think partially because of my threat. And I think now it's time for our UN-intervened de Gaulle. So we get to keep our guy in France, and we'll go ahead and take over Algeria, because we do not want to get nothing in Africa. So that was a good time to be touching Africa. So there's the Indo-Paki War. That's good to see. So he wants to dominate Europe, but now the coast is clear in Pakistan for now. It was sort of clear before anyway, but we are completely in the clear now. And now we dominate Asia in case it ever scores again. So, Truman Doctrine. Okay, so he had a little liability in his hand. He's going to fill Austria and go ahead and sacrifice his guy in France now that he made his try at Algeria. Okay, so let's go ahead and make a run through Egypt, see if he's going to play the Nasser card. And I'm going to go ahead and poke one into India. I'm hoping to maybe play through India into Burma, and so then India will be safer to fill against some future war. But, if I have to fill India, I'll fill India. Containment. Yeah, we're getting down to his ugly end of his hand. So he's going to give us the containment. He's doing it in his very last action round so that we get the minimum amount of benefit. Now, that has actually changed what I was probably going to do, because now I can actually space Romanian abdication, and I think that's a good end of turn thing for me. It lets me hold 5-year plan to turn 3, because 5-year plan, I don't want him to get rid of, the next Asian scoring card or something like that. So if I just save that till next turn, then I don't have to worry about getting 5-year plan for a while. That's one of my favorite ones of his cards to kind of hold over. It's actually my card. It's technically a U.S. event, but it's a good card for the Soviets, so I'm holding it until the next time. That is turn 2. We go to turn 3. Again, we got our op successfully. We see our little hand. There's European scoring and some other stuff. And another scoring card. And so that is what we're looking at for turn 3. And that is when I'm going to give you some homework. Now, on turn 3, the reshuffle happened, and so it's possible to know exactly what some of his cards are. We know that he's got the Marshall Plan. We know he's got socialist governments. We know he's got captured Nazi scientists. He does have Nasser. And I believe he's got the CIA created. So, in addition to commenting how you totally wouldn't have done any of the things I did on turn 1, why don't you tell me what your plan would be for turn 3? And I think I mentioned before, but not in this episode, that so Sankt here, or Yakov M. Sverdlov, is actually in China. He lives in China. He is Chinese. And so the time zone thing is a little bit interesting on completing the moves in this game. And so I am not 100% certain if we will have the next round by Friday, but you can be assured that if that happens, it will be because of time zone issues and not because I just didn't want to edit it together. So, and I'm actually thinking about maybe I need to get a second game going in parallel or something just in case that happens. But I hopefully will see you next week with turn 3 results. But this is a new transcontinental excitement, is definitely a new one for me. So anyway, we will see you next time and enjoy the modern Russian national anthem.